Hey everybody, Jeff Currier here. Passing through Bozeman again, so I swung by and saw my buddies at Yellow Dog, and it's October, which gets my mind thinking about saltwater fly fishing because I've got a lot of amazing trips this winter. The first thing I usually think about is my flies. How am I set on my flies? Because I'm going to travel a long way. I want to make sure I have the flies to catch what I'm after. It could be an exotic species, could be just maybe I'm going to permit fish for a week and I want to make sure my crabs are up to par. When I say my flies up to par, I'm talking, I got some new ones that look good when they hit the water and my hooks are good. Something to always consider. Make sure you don't bring an old worn out dull hook that you've hooked rocks and coral the last 5 years and expect it to hook the first permit you hook into. So I have kind of a core bunch of flies that I like to use. And just in the summer, I always make sure I have a good supply of shrimp imitations, crab imitations, and minnows and poppers. And I'm going to go through a few of my favorites here, and we'll start with the shrimps. So it's old, but one of my favorite flies of all time is a Crazy Charlie. I mean, you can't beat this fly. It's an easy one to make. It's one that no matter fly shop you go to, they're going to have some in stock. And my colors would be tan is my number one, pink probably my number two, and then white. But this will catch fish anywhere you go in the world, and it is one of the best all-time bonefish flies there was ever made. Another one of my favorite shrimp imitations is a gotcha. It's pretty much the same as a Crazy Charlie. By no means a fly nerd, but it does have a little flash to it. Usually you can find these with a variety of different eyes attached to them, in which, by the way, the eyes I'm talking right here, if it's a shallow flat, I want to have small eyes or no eyes or mono eyes or something like that so it doesn't sink and get stuck in the grass. If I'm fishing a deeper flat or a high tide with a lot more current, I might want a little more weight there. But just like Crazy Charlies, I like to have tan ones. That's my number one. Some white, some pink. Might even, depending on where I go, for instance, if I was going to Christmas Island, I want some with orange. For some reason, orange is really good for the bonefish over there. But that's a great one right there, and that is the gotcha. Got to have a spawning shrimp. Spawning shrimp is just another good all-around worldwide pattern. Again, a lot of similarities to the Crazy Charlie and the gotcha, but it does have a little kind of an orange pouch back here. It's a little more elongated. It will make a difference sometimes. Sometimes my Crazy Charlies are a little short, fish chasing, got some interest, but then turn away, and then you throw the spawning shrimp at them and they pulverize it. So I don't go anywhere in the world without this. A lot of times I will fish my spawning shrimp in a little larger sizes. So Crazy Charlies, when I'm fishing in the, say, Belize, I'm fishing 8s, really small ones for the most part, maybe a 6 on occasion. When I'm fishing other parts of the world, whether it's the Bahamas or Christmas Island or the Seychelles, usually my shrimps are going to be 6s and 4s. And every once in a while, I'll have a real giant shrimp. Then I usually do it in a spawning shrimp style. So I've mentioned it before, I am not a fly nerd. Well, actually, there is one area that I'm kind of a fly nerd. I am very, very particular about my crab flies because usually my focus with crab flies is going to be either permit fishing or trigger fishing. So I have some favorites. And I guess we'll kind of go in order here to what my favorites are. We'll start at the bottom. So if I have 4 favorite crabs, my 4th one that I'm always going to have with me is the EP crab right here. And this is a tan in color, which is a very, very good worldwide color. However, you should do a little research depending on where you're going on what color the flats are. A lot of times, particularly if I'm in like Australia or if I'm in the Seychelles, a whiter, lighter crab might be better. You want to match that environment because that's what the natural crabs are going to look like. They're not going to be standing out like a sore thumb. Not going to be a dark one on a white flat because they would have been abolished a long time ago by the various different permit trigger fish that live there. But anyway, that's a great one right there. That's the EP crab. Got some good long legs. When it sets in the bottom, the current will make those legs move just like a real crab, and fish go crazy for it. That being said, I do have another favorite crab that I take worldwide. Now this is a pato crab, designed by Pato himself, a friend of mine and somebody I've been fortunate to fish with many times. Pato likes to tie his crabs for Mexico. He's a guide in Ascension Bay. He likes his crabs to sink very fast. A lot of times we're fishing permit there in somewhat deeper water. But guess what? The Pato crab works incredibly well in various parts of the world. I have caught plenty of fish in the Seychelles on this, from triggerfish even a couple yellow of the Indo-Pacific permits. It's just a good all-round fly to have with you. And by the way, let me just throw something in here. Crabs aren't just for permit. They're not just for triggerfish. Big bonefish will smash a crab so fast you can't believe it. I've caught pretty darn good sized giant trevally on crabs, and I've caught tarpon on crabs. I've caught pretty much every fish on crabs. Like I mentioned earlier, shrimp, crabs, minnows, all fish eat them at different times. Now we're down to my two favorites. And sometimes I don't even want to talk about my favorite crabs, because if everybody starts using the bower crab in my favorite permit spots, it may not work as good, but that's okay. I want everybody to catch fish out there. But I love the bower crab. It's simple. It's basically just, kind of a, smeared fabric on a hook that's blended, mixture of this one's tan and brown. We've got brown legs. It's a very good one all over the world. It's funny because when you fish in the Seychelles, everybody's real particular about the next crab I'm going to talk about, the flexo, or, the merkin crab, which I don't even have in my pile here. Some of these are very similar. But this crab, it catches fish anywhere in the world. And one day fishing with some friends in the Seychelles who guide there, they didn't think it was going to work. Well, they were fishing ahead of me, and I caught a permit that refused their flies on this fly, one of the Indo-Pacifics. And keep in mind where you're going. If I'm in Belize, I usually want to have an olive one down south, but I do carry the olive and brown no matter where I go. All right. Now we're going to talk about my favorite, which has not been a favorite for long, but it's kind of turned into my favorite. This is the El Flexo crab. This is a white one right here. I usually carry white, I carry tan, and I carry orange ones. You're thinking orange? Why an orange crab? There's no such thing as an orange crab. Well, there probably is, but orange actually draws the attention to some oddball species. First of all, triggers will come take a look. Maybe that'll wake them up for you, then you come back and get them on the white one. But it's very good for parrotfish. And people don't think of parrotfish as a target fish because they're so hard to get their attention and they eat coral. But I've had bumphead parrot in the Seychelles come over and look at an orange El Flexo and caught a few on an orange El Flexo. But that's the fly right there. It's really good looking. This is a white one. This is something I typically would use in a white sand flat. I use my tan one a lot because a lot of times there's variation. But those are my favorite crabs to go with my little shrimp pile here. So now we're gonna go into the fact that fish eat other fish. Big fish eat small fish. So there's no better minnow imitation in the world than a Clouser minnow. I pulled out a couple of my favorites. Here's kind of a white and tan. Here's a chartreuse and white. Guess what? Not only is this one of the best imitations of a smaller fish, but it also serves very well for a shrimp. So I always have Clousers because I don't know if I'm going to have to fish a shrimp or a minnow that's going to work, depending on the species or where I'm at. And also, if I drop my Clouser on the bottom, which the nice thing about a Clouser, the hook point runs up so you rarely get snagged in the bottom, and I move it correctly, like I give it a quick jump and let it set, it can also be a crab. So I don't go anywhere in the world without Clousers. I usually have a variety of sizes and colors. My favorite colors, white and tan, chartreuse and white, and I don't have a blue and white one here, but a blue and white would be very good as well. And my sizes will range from size 4 all the way down to size 4/0. And 4/0, that's a giant one. Where do I use that? A lot of times I go to deep water, just off the edge of a flat, maybe 20, 30 feet. If there's some coral heads down there, I'll sink one of those giant Clousers down there on a sinking line and hold on, because there's some incredible, crazy stuff down there. Streamers in general, a lot of different ones. This is the peanut butter, absolutely fabulous worldwide fly right here. This is a small one. This is actually what I'd probably be using for tarpon if I were in Mexico fishing, in the mangroves. It's a killer fly. It'll also pick up the snook for you. Last time I was in Mexico, I had a big bonefish in the backcountry come out and slam. There's not a ton of big bonefish in the backcountry, but there are some places where they'll pocket up, and I got a big one. He ate the minnow. So always be ready when you throw this fly. This one even has a little weed guard on it. That can be important when you're fishing the mangroves or around any place that might have some coral structure or weed structure around there. I got a toad here, and I actually didn't list this on my favorite flies, but I'm glad it's here because it's a great one. And this one's the same as my peanut butter, the black and purple. But toads, if I'm fishing, say, down in Florida, I will have some chartreuse ones, some light tan ones. The cool thing about the toad is it really moves in the water. So I always had a thing that I learned years ago from a guide, that when you're tarpon fishing, you strip the fly as fast as the tarpon is moving. And sometimes those tarpon are laid up You can drop this fly in there, it slowly sinks and you hardly move it at all, and they gulp it. Pretty cool. If you go anywhere in the world without lefty deceivers, you're crazy. One of the great all-round streamers. I carry a variety of colors in them. They'll catch any fish, but great minnow imitation. You could catch tarpon, you can catch snook, you can catch trevally on them. It's just a good all-round one. Chartreuse and white is a favorite color of mine. Blue and white is a favorite color of mine, but I have some dark ones. There's a famous fly called the cockroach. I can't talk about everything in one shot here, but that's kind of a tan with a grizzly hackle. You can tie or buy your lefty deceivers in tan with grizzly hackle as well. A little grizzly in this one here. Last thing I'm going to say is make sure you have some poppers. There are times when you might be on a flat and then you got a nice deep pocket, maybe a channel off the edge of the flat, maybe between the two flats. And a lot of people, they just jump to the next flat and start fishing. Not me. I make one long cast across that with my 10 weight or even my 12 weight, depending on what's around, with a popper, and I rip it across. And this is, when you're fishing poppers in saltwater, and I got a few different ones here, that's kind of a classic banger right there. Big old red and white, nice big cup on there, so it's really going to move some water. This, by the way, a really good snook one right there. If you're in the Seychelles, you'd be fishing the old nap right here. If you're a bass fisherman in freshwater, or you fish crappie or bluegill, we tend to pop it and let our poppers sit there for a minute, then we pop it again after the rings go away. In saltwater, it's boom, boom, just pop the heck out of this thing. Rip it as fast as you can. A lot of people fish barracudas with these big, long tube flies. Half the time, the fish follow it and they don't eat it, because in order to get them to eat the tube fly, you need a very long cast and the fastest strip you can imagine. A lot of people can't do that, including myself, because I got a couple torn rotator cuffs and screwed up elbows. But with the popper, I can get a cuda to eat. A lot of times they see the splashing and they just come and smash it, as do jacks, as do snapper, as do grouper, caught tarpon, snook, a lot of different things on poppers. That kind of sums it up. And I'm glad I stopped by today because I'm a little short on flies. I think I'll take these guys with me.